Paulie asks great questions. Love that.
Albert, use it as an intro.
Never.
This is Ben from Common Knives, and you're listening to the High Carbon Podcast.
Welcome, everyone. We are back with a full house this week, and we have a special guest, so we're going to skip what we did and introduce the bearded wizard, Mr. Coy Baker, is with us tonight. How are you, Coy?
Doing good. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's been a while. Y'all have renamed this show since the last time I was here.
Yeah. What do you think of it?
I like it a lot better. High Carbon's a perfect name for a podcast.
Yeah, we had a couple of guys who hated it, but now they admit that it's great. Better than the old name.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely better than the old name. The old name was just a play off of a different podcast, and you don't need them. So
yeah. So what's been up with Coy? It's been, like you said, it's been a little while since you've been here. I think you guys just got back from a Blade show in Texas, right?
Yes. Yeah, we were in Texas. That's my favorite show to go to of all the Blade shows. Go to Atlanta to make money and go to Texas to party. So it was a good time. We don't ever do a table or a booth in Texas. It's too far to carry all that steel. So just go down and hang out. And yeah, it was a great time. I feel like Texas is probably one of the biggest growing shows. More and more people every single year. So I wouldn't mind if that eventually replaced Atlanta, honestly. But yeah, had a great time. Here at the shop, we're just cranking away. I mean, we're in Blade Show Atlanta prep right now. So making sure we're updating all our stock. We've got the correct variety. We're making our test coupon samples so that people can see what it looks like inside the steel bar. You know, all the stuff we just have to do to prep for the show. So we're in prep mode right now.
Yeah, we got a show coming up in a couple of weeks in Solingen too. So I know what you're going through. It gets kind of hectic trying to make sure you don't forget anything and getting all the stuff together that you need to take with you. You get it packed up or put to the side at least, and then orders come in and you got to dig through stuff to find things, and it gets a little crazy. But
yeah, it's that balance of, well, I need to still sell steel and sell stuff on the website right now, but if I sell too much, it's a problem because I got to go to the show. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a balance.
So do you have some new stuff coming to the show? I think you didn't have stainless last year when you were in Atlanta.
So in Atlanta last year, we did have stainless. We did a small batch of it because we had just kind of got everything together. And we brought it to the show, and it all sold before the show actually opened. So it sold to other knife makers who were already in there setting up their tables. They came by and just kind of cleaned it out before the show even opened. So we did have some, but just a little bit. We'll have plenty of it there this year. And we're debuting a new product with another knife company. Unfortunately, I can't say who that knife company is. They got me under wraps on that. But we are debuting something new in the stainless realm. But that's as far as they're going to allow me to say. So something new for sure. And it is stainless related, but not something anybody's ever seen before.
You are not allowed to say the name, but if I say the name and you just say yes, would that work?
Paulie, you're going to get me in trouble.
I mean,
that's what he's here for.
Yeah, this is my job.
I mean, you can rattle some stuff off, and I'll just mute myself here, and we can just roll with that.
Okay, understood. I won't ask.
So have you been ramping up all your tooling and stuff in the shop to get better stainless production, or?
Oh yeah, we did a whole revamp. We built a whole production line just for the stainless because it's such a different process to do in carbon. You've got it's harder to work, so you're gonna need bigger machinery, but also there's just more steps. We're doing gas purge canisters for now, and it just requires other stuff. And so, yeah, we built out a whole production line, and that includes, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the big Chambersburg power hammer that we put in, the big one. We finally got that up and running. Only took us 14 months to install it, but she's running, and boy, she's a dream. It moves stainless like it's Play-Doh. So definitely glad we made that investment on that hammer.
What's the ram weight on this one? On the big one?
This one is 750 pounds. So I don't know what that converts to.
340 kilograms. Okay, that's that's a heavy hammer.
It's a big boy. Yeah, and the foundation for that hammer is 12 feet deep. Again, you'll have to convert. I don't know what.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Just under 4 meters.
3.66 meters. Holy shit. Okay, that's deep. Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite the undertaking. And we actually had a hurricane come through when we had the hole dug out. And we had poured the first layers of concrete in the bottom and then started on the timber. And we had the hurricane came through and the hole flooded from the bottom up and saturated all of our timbers. So we had to rip all those out partway through and redo all that. So that was a bit of a setback in the construction of that foundation.
Did you get this heavy hammer specifically for doing stainless? Was that the plan all along?
Well, it was. Well, let me think back exactly. I bought the hammer quite a while ago from Chris Cash at Mount Phillip Metalworks, and I was. Let's see. We've been planning to do stainless for a long time, and so we acquired that hammer and then just kind of stored it for a little bit, going, hey, once we're ready to finish out this stainless production line, that's the hammer we're going to put in that place. And so, yes, it was pretty much bought for that reason, but it was available at a certain time at a great deal, and I kind of just jumped on it. And it just lined up perfectly, honestly. So, we do stainless, a little bit of stainless work on some of the smaller hammers, but it's so much more efficient to do it on the big one that we pretty much just do all of that over there on that one. So, it's super controllable. I was a little worried about a big hammer of that size and never owned a steam hammer before, so I wasn't really sure how well we were going to be able to dial it in and tune it. But it is the easiest controlled hammer we have now, which is crazy to say.
Was it in working condition when you bought it? Or did you have to restore it?
Chris had run it briefly. He had done some work on it. It's not really restored. It was in pretty good shape. He repacked a couple of the glands around the rod, some basic things, not a lot of restoring. It was in really good shape. We painted it, and we did, of course, all the airline work to it, and had to make the treadle and all the linkage for running it with the treadle, because it's actually originally designed to be run by two people, one who forges under it and one who operates it. And so we had to build all the linkages and stuff to operate it with a treadle. But other than that, it was in great shape. It just needed cleaning, really good cleaning, basically. So I call it a steam hammer because that's the style. But it was right during that year when Chambersburg started offering both a steamed hammer version and an air-operated compressed air version. So this one, I actually have all the original paperwork that came with it. And it was built by Chambersburg with the proper valving for compressed air. So I didn't have to convert the valves to run on compressed air. It came that way from the factory in 1947. So that was nice. But yeah, no, not a lot of restoration work. It was in really good shape. And we just made some modifications to it, cleaned it up, painted it, made it look pretty. Sorry, we got a whole full-length YouTube video on the entire build process if anybody wants to check that out on our YouTube channel. So it's like a 40-minute long video, but we videoed the whole process. And at the very end, broke down the cost of what it's cost to install a hammer of this size. Because, there's not a lot of these out there. And I knew a lot of people would be interested in how much it costs to do that. So we broke down all the pricing and what we spent on everything in that video. So it's a fun watch if anybody's interested.
Including the foundation and everything.
Oh yeah. Well, and most of the video is the building of the foundation. That's the part that took the longest.
Yes,
including the cost.
Oh shit.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. And there's a lot of costs. at the end, we had right at about $100,000 into that hammer. So long process. So
before they offered the air powered version, you had to have like a whole steam boiler set up and like it was coal fired and all that in order to power the hammer.
Yes, it would have been run similar to like a train engine, with a boiler, creating steam that powers the hammer. So luckily, I didn't have to deal with any of that because that's way outside of my pay grade and knowledge base. So
And then
I don't know.
Gotta have somebody that's shoveling coal all the time.
Well, I've got a guy for that. I got a coal. I got a coal who can shovel coal.
That's right.
But no, we didn't want to bother with any of that. I'd much rather just plop a big old screw compressor at the back of the shop and hook that baby up. So I actually overdid the air system. I knew I was overdoing it a little bit, but the instructional documents I have with the hammer that came with it were a little vague on the air supply needs. And so I kind of had to take a little bit of a stab in the dark. It told me how much CFM volume it needed to run, but that didn't tell us if it needed to run at full capacity at that CFM or if that was hey, it'll work just operationally at that, but you need more to do it in production so you don't outrun your compressor. And so I kind of took a stab in the dark on the size of the air compressor and the air system we built. And after getting everything done and then now measuring how much it's taking, we actually could run 2 hammers of this size off the air system I built. So I went a little overboard on that, but better too much than too little, right?
Definitely. You can run other stuff in the shop on it too.
Right. Which I already had an air compressor doing that. So I've got a bunch of excess air now too, which is, again, not a bad problem to have. It could power a bunch of other air tools that we end up getting down the road. But for now, it just runs the air compressor or it runs the hammer and it's good to go. So y'all should check out that video. I think y'all would get a kick out of that. It's a fun build.
I'll have to write that down and put it in the show notes for the listeners.
Now this hammer is operated by one person, right, in your shop?
Correct. Yes, you can walk up to it like a normal power hammer.
Normal power hammer. Okay. How many power hammers do you own now?
Fully up and running 3. I had 2 others, but I've sold them both. Just because I just didn't need them. We had other space designated for that, and I didn't feel like cutting the foundation for them. Mm-hmm. And just in the off chance we ended up needing one again down the road, I didn't want to take a stab at where in the shop we would need it. Because once you make the foundation, it's going to be there. And if I ever decided, I need to move that, you can't do it once it's there. So they were smaller hammers, not really production hammers. So 3 does us just fine. We got 750, we got the 350, and then I got a smaller 150 for just kind of specialty operations. So each production line basically has one big hammer, and that's all it really needs. I mean, they forge fast, and we don't really outrun them. I mean, they work perfectly for our setup. So just 3.
So with having such a big ram weight like that, what are some of the drawbacks? Is it dangerous that you applying hitting with too much force and it ruins the Damascus, or do you have to be really careful about that?
Well, so on the big hammer, it's mostly working on the stainless. So it's if we put the regular carbon steel under there, then yeah, you could definitely forge it way too quick and tear that steel apart. The stainless is, of course, way more resilient to impact, and so it doesn't move as well. And I mean, under the 750, it moves great. It moves like normal steel would under a different hammer, and so don't really have any problems there. If we went ham on it with some carbon steel under that, though, yeah, you could really rupture some stuff pretty quickly. But we don't really do anything carbon on it because it's overkill for anything that's not the size of a basketball.
And then you gotta have a big enough forge to fit that huge piece of steel in. What are you running for a forge now?
So in the stainless line, it's got a what's this guy's name again? I had it custom built because I wanted something very specifically for stainless that would utilize a proportional air mixer. Do you guys know what a proportional air mixer is? Okay. So, I mean, it's used a lot in the glass industry, but not as much in the blacksmith industry. I reached out to Jorgen Harl, He's a blacksmith out on the West Coast here in America. It's out in the Portland area. And he's been building forges for forever, decades. And he recently made one for Gabe Fletcher, Anchorage Forge. And when I saw the style, this was like a year ago now, I guess. I saw the style and I said, hey, I reached out to him and said, hey, that's a awesome style forge. I'm in the market to have one built. Can we use that framework that you did for Gabe for one for us? But I want to make a couple of modifications. And it was to make it a little bit bigger and add the proportional air mix system so that we could really control within a degree the temperature of that forge at all times. Because the stainless, the martensitic stainless steels we're working with have a very short window, very small window of range that you can work them out before you either crack them or burn them. And so it's important that it stays a very specific temperature. And so really wanted to go down that road with him and have him build us a custom one. So that's what we're running now. We did a video on that one too. The dimensions off the top of my head, it's about 3 feet deep, probably 20 inches wide, and then probably 16 or 17 inches tall. It's got an arched roof, so it's a little hard to estimate how tall that is. But it's not gargantuan. It's actually slightly smaller than our big copper furnace, because the stainless stuff traditionally won't get near as tall. We won't be stacking stuff on top of each other in there, because then we'd get into the way of the burners, and the copper furnace is completely different setup. But yeah, we love that thing. It was very expensive to have that thing built. It has a lot of bells and whistles, but it is super, super efficient. It's running on under a single PSI of gas pressure. It's incredibly efficient. So that's the main stainless forge.
And I guess it's PID controlled as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, so the PID actually and this is really cool. So the PID controls the fan. So you set your temperature on your display, and when the thermocouple hits that temperature, it tells the PID, hey, I'm at that temp. Then the PID then tells the fan to slow down, not to turn off, but to slow down, and it ramps it down slowly, at a decent rate, I guess. It's not super slow. It ramps it down, and the proportional air mixer brings the gas flow level down at the same rate. So you're never changing your burn rate inside your forge. Your fuel to air mix ratio stays the same. And so whenever
that's smart,
yeah. So then when you load it with steel and the temperature starts to go down inside the forge, the thermocouple tells the PID, hey, I need more power. And then it tells the fan, hey, speed up. And the fan speeds up. And then the proportional air mixer also opens up the gas line more to add more gas to the mixture.
That's so sophisticated.
It is. It's
so cool.
Did you have to get somebody to program all this, or is it a special PID controller that learns this by itself?
No, it was programmed by the guy who built it. That is, again, outside of my expertise. At the end of the day, if you go watch the video, it's really not that complicated. The whole air mix system is a manual. So the proportional air mix valve is doing that's all analog. That part's not digital. The reading of the PID to tell the fan to speed up, that's digital. But the proportional air mixer is all done analog, manual style, but it does it automatically. That proportional air mixer was like $4,000, just that one part. And it's used because they don't make them anymore. So very specific component that I wanted to make sure this thing had, and Jorgen was able to find one, and then he got it all dialed in for us. So by the time the thing arrived here, he dialed it to our exact propane pressures from our tanks for our current elevation, fuel type, all that sort of stuff, and what temperature we were going to be running it at. And he preset all that up in there. So we literally just switched on and then light it, and it's ready to go.
And at the same time, you're running nitrogen in there too, or something?
No, this is just an open forge with. It's not a closed setup or a purged setup. For the gas, for doing stainless, we just build the canisters around the blocks of steel, around the billets, and we purge it externally from the outside. And that's how we're doing it now. But I think we're going to move to a vacuum system. I've been doing a lot of research into doing vacuum canisters as opposed to doing gas. And in the short term, it's more expensive, but long term, you have a pretty decent savings once you have that vacuum system set up. And so the guys would have a manifold, a quick connect manifold sitting right at the forge, and they can walk up with the billet with the pipe handle, and then just plug the line right into the vacuum furnace and then go. And so I think I've been digging into that more. And I think it's long-term a better option than doing an argon gas purge. Argon's not that expensive, but I think vacuum is cooler and more efficient long-term.
Definitely.
But how would this work? You would have a tube connected to the canister, and a vacuum pump sucks out all the oxygen, or how would it work? The vacuum.
Yeah,
system?
so it would you would have a sealed can, completely sealed, and then your handle would be a nice big thick steel tube.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And where it's welded to the billet, there'd actually be a hole into the canister, so that when you pull a vacuum, you're pulling the vacuum from the can.
Okay.
And you have to get it off the top of my head. I don't remember how much pressure or how much vacuum you have to pull to get the oxygen level to a certain point. But once you hit a certain pressure, there's not enough oxygen left in there to stop the bonding of the stainless. And so the concept is really just that becomes your handle, that nice thick pipe, and you just trim it back a little bit each time to re-weld it on. We would have to pressure test them ahead of time to make sure they hold pressure. And I don't have a ton of experience with vacuums. We may have to run the vacuum while it's heating up, like during that whole process. Because I don't know how the heating of that canister is going to affect the vacuum that's being held inside it. But the vacuum pump may have to run while the whole thing heats up. We obviously run gas the same way. We flood it continuously during heat up. There's a tiny leak valve at the very back, tiny little pilot hole. Because if you just did a sealed can and then pumped a bunch of argon into it, you're just pumping the argon on top of the oxygen, not displacing the oxygen. So with argon, you've got to push it all the way through and slowly let it drizzle out the back, which is fine. It works great. But I realized once we started doing this process last year that when the argon goes into the furnace and starts to heat up, the argon expands, the gas expands. So we actually can cut back the amount of pressure we're pushing out of the tank because that gas is expanding in there a lot and displaces the oxygen really fast on a very low flow from the gas tank.
I wonder how that affects the vacuum pump itself, because I'm sure you're pulling a lot of hot air in through there. So you must have to cool it down somehow.
Yeah, and that's a part I don't have fully figured out yet. I need to talk to somebody who's some sort of vacuum engineer or somebody who's experienced with this sort of a system, because I'm not, and I don't really know anybody who is. So kind of on the lookout for somebody who knows what they're talking about when it comes to that. So if any of your listeners are or know of somebody in that realm, I'd be interested to talk with them about it for sure.
I run vacuum pumps all the time with my air conditioning background, but I don't know anything about using it in a vacuum furnace. But I imagine you'd have to cool that air down so you don't ruin the pump somehow.
Well, if you pull the vacuum on the can before you put it in, and then you put it in and heated it up, not a ton of air is actually coming back through the pipe if it's all it's doing is maintaining a vacuum, right? That's my line of thinking, at least. But I don't know.
Yeah, unless the canister cracks or something.
Yeah, that's true. And you got a canister that's heating up. That exterior can is getting very hot. And there'll be some testing to figure out what canister wall thickness is required in order to maintain the vacuum without it just completely folding in on itself or ripping itself open.
Mm.
Anyway, something I've just been mentally processing and doing a little research on. For now, doing the gas works just fine. I mean, it welds up so clean. It's almost not even worth bothering with because it works so well as it is. But I'm the kind of guy who just kind of wants to get every little bit of perfection and efficiencies out of things. So I won't leave well enough alone.
But do you have to purge it like all the time, or just for the forge welding stage of the billet?
Yeah, just during heat up and forge welding. Once you go into the hammer the first time and you smack on it, you're pretty much ripping that can open anyway. And so the guys they set the weld, a couple smacks into the hammer, they flip the billet over, a couple more smacks, and then disconnect the gas line, and that's it. Then you can forge from normal. They'll go rip the canister off, but yeah, it's only needs to be there for that part. Otherwise, because it's going to get torn open, it's going to start oxidizing anyway. Yeah, the important step's over.
Do you forge weld the stainless Damascus under the hammer, or do you have a press for that?
We do it all under the hammer. I don't know. We've never done the stainless under a press, actually. Mainly because our big press is set up, like our big 200-ton Franklin is set up with the patterning dies. It has that assembly in it. And to change that out, to put in a forging die, like an open forging die, like a flat die or something, would be kind of a pain in the ass to do every single time we needed to do that. The whole patterning die assembly, spring die assembly, is like 300 pounds. So we have to take that on and off the press every time. And that's kind of a pain. So we just do it all under the hammer. It's faster. That 750 keeps steel hot for a very long time because of the energy transfer. Stuff doesn't really cool down under it very much at all because it's just moving steel so quickly.
So we saw a little video recently from you doing that. I mean, I've seen this before with people talking about using clay and stuff, but I don't know that anybody uses it. So you were using black and gray clay, and you had 3D printed some test dies so you can make some new patterns or experiment with patterns.
Yes. So, man, I forget who I learned that from. That was, I want to say it was Jason Knight, but I don't want to give credit to where credit's not due. Sorry, Jason. Love you, buddy. But somebody told me about that years ago, and we've used it on and off for the last few years. Whenever we want to try out a new die pattern, it's so easy to just 3D print a small rendition of the die, and then just roll out some clay of 2 different colors and just stack it all together, create a quote unquote Damascus billet out of it, and press your patterns in and slice the tops off like as if you were grinding into steel. And it's great for pattern testing because the clay moves just like Damascus would, and it's thermoplastic shape, thermoplastic state. Steel moves the same way as clay does, but it's a lot cheaper to test with. So yeah, it's a great method, and we haven't filmed any content of doing that in a long time. And we were doing it the other day, and I called Waylon over. I was like, hey, you need to film this because we haven't shown this on Instagram in a long time, and I think people would really love to see this. So so all you people out there who make Damascus, it's actually really, really fun and kind of addicting to do, because you can do mosaics, you can do every step that you can do with steel, you can do in this. You can do it at your kitchen table with clay and a razor blade. So it's super fun. My kids love doing it. So
I just gotta say, you just gotta steal the clay from your kid's toy box and get to work.
That's right. And get the oven cure stuff. It's a little bit denser to work with, but in the end, you can actually just toss it in the oven for half hour and harden it, and you can then actually grind it on your belt grinder to actually mimic grinding into it like an actual grinder. So that's really cool. I didn't show that in the video, but you can harden the oven cure version of clay and grind it on your grinder. So
that's where those white belts will come in handy, Albert.
I've never used them on clay though.
White belt? What's a white belt?
White VSM ceramic belt. It has a coating on it that it works pretty well for wood. so that the belt doesn't clog up with stabilized wood or dense hardwoods and stuff.
Gotcha. Interesting. I've never seen any white ones. I'm guessing they don't stay white for very long.
Depending what you grind on it, but yeah. But you can also grind non-ferrous metals with it, so they work pretty well for copper and aluminum and stuff, and also for wood because they have a chalk. They're white because they have a chalk coating on them.
Gotcha.
So, and they also work for austenitic steels and non-hardened steels, so you can do your preheat with grinds on these belts to make a very nice surface finish. Because after all, they're ceramic belts, so they're basically the same like the red VSM belts, but they have this anti-clogging up coating on them.
So what's the price point compared to a red VSM belt?
About the same, actually. So they're not maybe a few cents more expensive, but it's about the same.
Right.
So
we might have to try some of that. That's cool.
Do you have VSM over there in the US?
Yeah, we do. I get my stuff through FinTech, and I don't know if those are VSM belts or not. Off the top of my head, I don't remember. But we can get VSMs here. I see them all the time.
The belt number is XK733X.
Yeah, I'll look those up. That's pretty cool. I don't know if we'd have a ton of applications for it, but it'd be good to have something like that laying around in case we needed that anti-gunking coating. It's pretty cool. Keith, do you sell those?
I don't, but Albert sells them in his shop.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
I don't know how it is with customs, but I can send you some if you want to try them out.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what customs would be.
Then we just declare it as or say it's a gift. Then there's no customs, I guess.
Shouldn't be. Yeah. Well, that would be awesome.
Sure.
We should sync up over after the show.
Just give Hoover some to take over to Blade Show Atlanta with him.
That would work too. Are any of you guys going to Atlanta?
No, we're not going. We've been last year.
Gotcha. Well, you got to go every year. I mean, it's it happens.
No,
every
it's
year.
so far for us, and it's it's so expensive.
I bet.
Especially if we don't have a table there. We've just been visiting last year, so it was vacation for us. A somewhat expensive one.
I mean, you got to go at least once.
Yeah, you have to go at least once. That's true. Yeah.
I think if I went again, I would try the Texas one this time.
Yeah, me too.
If once you go Texas, you won't go back. I mean, that'll be the show you go to. You'll forget all about Atlanta.
Really?
Oh yeah, Texas is the best.
How big is it compared to Atlanta, Texas? How much smaller is it?
I'd say it's probably 2/3 the size of Atlanta.
Ah, okay.
So I mean, it's still pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all in one room though. There's not two rooms like Atlanta has, and it's not in the middle of a bunch of highways. It's in downtown Fort Worth, Texas.
That sucks.
And
nice.
Every single hotel is just a couple of steps down a nice, beautiful little street with every single type of restaurant you could think of on every side of you. I mean, there's something to do in every direction, and you don't have to leave that, 0.14 mile radius of the convention center the entire time. So it's just beautiful. And Texas weather is great that time of year too. It's not hot like Atlanta.
Yeah. We should go to Texas then, Keith.
Let's do it.
Fuck Atlanta. Let's go to Texas.
Definitely fuck Atlanta. I hate that city. God.
There's nothing going on there. What is there? I mean, there's
absolutely nothing.
Nothing. A Coca-Cola museum, and what was the other thing? The aquarium. That's it. That's what everyone recommended.
And Hooters, but you guys wouldn't go with me.
That's true. Yeah. but I guess they also have a Hooters in Texas, don't they? So.
Oh, there's a Hooters in Texas, I'm sure. But the only other thing that happens in Atlanta is crime. So, boom, there you go. Don't go to Atlanta.
Is it that bad in Atlanta? Because people warned us also at Blade.
Yeah, I mean, not in the area of the Cobb Gallery, because you're kind of outside of, Atlanta proper. You're in the kind of the quote unquote good neighborhood where the gallery's at. So it's not that bad up there, but you get into Atlanta proper and there's some crazy nasty ghetto shit down there. I don't go down that area. I've got a lot of family on my wife's side who are from Atlanta, so we're down there from time to time, but there's some areas to avoid for sure. And the traffic's always terrible.
Yeah.
We got lucky then. We took Ubers everywhere, and Albert and Andy, they wanted to go check out some mall because Albert's daughter wanted some products from the US. I forget what, makeup or something like that. But we ended up at like this really high class mall, and there was like, we wanted to go into the Apple store, and the security guard stopped us, and you needed an appointment to get in, and all kinds of stuff. It was crazy.
Wow. Is this the mall right behind the convention center?
No, it's a mall. It was a mall downtown. It was downtown.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Huh.
And the security guard was carrying a handgun, a pistol. So that's also weird for a European. There's a guy walking around with a pistol in the mall. So
we just we just walked in. We were halfway in the store before they said something to us.
Yeah.
Like they didn't shoot us.
Wait, hold on. In over there, your security guards aren't armed?
No, they are not. No, police is armed. Security guards aren't. No. Security guards are not allowed to use. Are not allowed to carry guns, as far as I know. I mean, there might be some exceptions, but usually security is not. It's not armed with pistols. That's what I meant. I mean, they might have tasers and stuff, but
I was gonna say I don't even think they have a taser though. I think they got nothing.
I don't know.
I mean, how is he gonna stop anything?
Yeah, I mean crime rate's so low over here. I don't have to stop something.
Yeah.
And if there is an actual crime happening, there's a police station around the corner usually. So then they're very fast. So I think as far as I know, in every big shopping mall, there actually is a police station in there. So
yeah, there usually is.
Oh, inside the mall. That's interesting.
Yeah, there have been some incidents where, let's say, a kid has been abducted in a mall, and they've shut down the mall, and then there's police right there. So it makes sense in a big shopping mall to have a police station there, I think.
Right.
Yeah, but we're not used to people carrying guns. That also surprised us at Blade. There was this signs outside in Atlanta that I think you're not allowed to carry a gun there. And you would not have to explicitly tell that over here to people because no one's allowed to carry a gun. So anyway.
Right. Yeah. And every state's a little bit different, but most states, you're not allowed to carry a firearm into an area where it's a paid ticket event. So like a concert or a convention center. Yeah, you can't take a gun, even if you have a permit to carry it, you can't take it inside those areas without being like law enforcement or something like that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and that's pretty standard across the entire U.S. But there's a lot of guns in Texas, though. I don't think there's any inside the convention center, but you see them walking around they wear them out where you can see them. So there's a lot of that in Texas.
I wonder if guns get stolen out of people's cars and stuff all the time at those kind of things. You got to leave them in the car, or hide them in the bushes somewhere, or if you forgot about it.
I would hope they would have locked it in the car, not left it in a bush. Yeah, that's begging for trouble. That's a liability, actually. If somebody picked that up and like a kid picked that up and shot somebody with it, the gun owner is liable. I lock it up in the car. I mean, that's what I do with mine. If I can't take it in somewhere, just lock it in the car. My town's tiny. There's nothing happening here.
So Corey, you guys have quite the presence on Instagram with these questions you've been asking lately, stirring up some hard feelings with people and all the disagreements here and there. Is that part of your marketing team, or are you running these questions?
They used to run these questions by me, and they within the last couple of months they quit doing that and they just start putting them out. And honestly, I love them. The questions that they come up with are hilarious to me. But there's been a couple I was like, ooh, wow, that's going to cause some problems. So no, I don't really have a hand in those questions anymore. But every once in a while they'll run something by me, and if they think it's really too edgy, they'll probably come up to me and be like, "Hey, is this okay to post?" But for the most part, they just have free run of those questions as long as it's industry related. Then they're going for it. So, are you referencing a specific question in general?
Well, not really, but I read through a couple of them, and I had some that I kind of wanted to go over on the show if you'd like, that I thought were good topics to get some conversation going.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, let's do it.
Yes. So you got one. It says, "What's something younger knife makers do that older knife makers never do?" And one of the answers says, "Older knife makers put their name on the knife, and younger knife makers just put some dumbass company name, and nobody knows who you are." I thought that was a great topic. I think that's a huge difference between older knife makers and new knife makers. The older style always had their name and like the town where they came from or something like that. And a lot of the new guys have like a logo, or a lot of times it's hard to know who they are just by looking at the logo. But I don't know. What do you think about that? What's your stance on it?
Right. And I think it's more about the current state of knife makers out there, because I think, the older guys were putting their names on it more because it was, a hobby. It was something that they were just doing as a craft, and so they used a name because they didn't really have a formal business that they were trying to run. Whereas nowadays, a lot of the knife makers do it specifically as a business, and so they're trying to push a brand as opposed to pushing their personal name or their personal art. So I think that's probably where the bigger difference comes in. I don't know if it's necessarily age related, but it's a good question, because, or it's a good point, because you're right. There's a lot of people out there who just do a company name or a logo, and that's kind of meaningless to other people if you don't know that brand, right? You have to build
Yeah.
brand recognition for that to actually carry any weight.
And that's much easier to do in this day and age with the internet and everything. I think back then, like you said, those guys were putting their name in. It usually had the town they were from or something like that, so people could find them a little bit easier. But I like the logo. I like
Right.
the you can tell people right away, just even from far away. You don't have to be able to read the lettering on the knife or anything. Just from like the shape of the
Mhm.
logo across the room, you know who it is.
Right. Right. For sure. I mean, I always harp on that. You need to build the brand first. I mean, if you're, I mean, even a maker who's putting his name on there, that name also means nothing to other people if they don't know who that name is, right? So
Yeah.
it's all about building yourself, whether that's your name or your brand. I mean, that's the name of the game. That's how you're going to move product. So
And like your logo with the beard on it, did you ever have a different logo before? Has that changed, or have you always had that since the beginning?
that has never changed. That's the original logo from day one. So uh, it's modeled after my own beard.
Yeah, I see the
And yeah,
resemblance.
just yeah, it's a little longer now. I might need to adjust the logo to represent the longer beard slightly, but no, it hasn't ever changed, and it just became. We started by putting our logos on our billets by just spraying it with white spray paint, like
Yep.
spraying a stencil, and I started doing that at the very beginning to help with brand recognition, so that when somebody got the piece of steel, it had the logo sprayed onto it, kind of harken back to the concept of art, because it's paint and it's a little more artistically put on there, other than just like a sticker or something in the box, right? Kind of
Mhm.
gave a little flair to it. And nobody else was doing that. So that's why I kind of started down that road and started putting logos on every bar with spray paint. We don't do that now. We have proper labels because we fixed that since. But yeah, that's why we started doing that, was to help solidify in buyers' minds that image of that logo. And every time they see that, they think of us, or see a beard at all. And some people have blamed us for linking the concept of buying Damascus with Christmas time, because a lot of people see Santa Claus when they look at my logo too. So
Okay. What about you guys, Albert and Polly? Did you put any thought like that into your logo?
You mean like Christmas?
No, like if you should have your name and where you're from and stuff, like yours, obviously. You do, but Polly doesn't. You can't.
No,
He doesn't have any text on it.
no, I
Oh,
do have.
you have text, but like not your name or anything like that.
Nah. I think Koi put it really, really elegantly. I'm thinking the same. That the name of the person means shit. It means nothing. I guess in the olden days, if they put the town and the name, you could find somebody in the phone book. I guess if that helps. But I think it really comes what Koi also touched upon is from the different states of knife making, and I think that in the past it wasn't viewed as a viable business, and it was more of a personal hobby kind of thing, and you should be proud enough to put on your name and not some company name. And now we are living in a little bit different economical climate where you can build a brand, you can build a company, and there is no shame in that. And with both, you are starting at zero, and you need to build that brand recognition. But I think I can see some correlation between the heavy music scene and the knife making scene, where maybe if you start with a company name and you've just made your first three knives, you might look like a sellout, somebody who is just in for the money and not for the love of the craft. So I kind of understand the olden guys, but also it's fine to have a company name, a logo. And by the way, like, talking about putting in some ideas and thoughts into your logo, my name is Baltic Blades, and the logo is basically two bees mirrored and put together with their backs and just stylized to look like a some sort of rune or Baltic symbol. Just stylization to go with the same vibe and same theme. So yeah, there is that.
There is something to be said for the current state of logos in this industry. Because Polly, what you just described for your logo is perfect because you're on brand, you're on theme, and it all carries across with your logo and your business. But there's so many people out there making a logo or doing, even if it's just a website, but like the name of the business doesn't match the logo doesn't match the theme of their company or their brand, and it's all just mismatched and looks horrendous. There's so much of that out there right now. So to the people who are
Hmm.
listening, do better. So that's all I have to say.
I mean, they are not getting it done, as somebody
They're
would
not
say.
getting it done. Hot take.
Yeah, hot take. But when we have these tools like AI, and you can see, oh, this image looks beautiful, that is generated. Oh, they can generate a logo for me, yada yada yada. Yeah, they look great, but they look like shit because they don't have any coherency together. And
Mhm.
the most important thing, I think, in branding is the cohesiveness, to have a continuous storytelling, continuous ideas, and the styling of your knives, and that goes with your company name or your branding and the logo and everything, and even your website and your emails. So if you are just putting on pretty pictures that have no correlation with each other, you are in the big poo town. You will gain no recognition because nobody will remember you. Your knives tell one story, your branding tells another story. You go to your website and you can find a third story that means jack shit.
So I
Mhm.
think I think that some people have this problem where they make this logo that they think is great, and then you try to get it on your knife, and it's unrecognizable, or there's too much detail, you can't see it, and then that's where they end up with like two different logos.
Yes.
Mm, mhm. I have a pet peeve, actually. I have a pet peeve where people actually put their names as their making name, and the name is so generic, or they just kind of mash their first and last names together to make a company name. I find it so.
Like Vapor
I
Forge.
mean, N- sure. Nah, look.
And
You are
Toolco.
very lucky. You Tulenko, you are very lucky because you are basically baking in your forge, the Damascus. So Baker
It
Forge.
works.
It makes sense. Yeah. But if you go with my
Okay.
last name and you go Yanchukas Blades, it means what the fuck? It means nothing. It doesn't even sound well. And maybe there are a lot of people with my last name. So no,
No,
it
no,
just
they're not.
it is not creating a branding kind of story.
Mhm.
And just one question, Koi.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel because of your marketing, do you ever feel like a prisoner to your beard? You can never shave it.
That's a great question. Because, yes, I do. I do feel a little bit imprisoned by that. Astutely observed, Polly. I don't think I ever would want to cut it off, though. My wife would kill me if I cut it off. She loves the beard. And so I've had one for so long, none of my kids would recognize me. None of the people I work with, nobody in this industry would know who I was if I took this beard off. And I like it. So I think I'm just going to keep it until it turns white and gray and I'll just become Santa Claus for real. So, but
I
yes,
mean,
there's a little bit of the fact that I really can't cut it off almost. So, yeah, I get what
Then
you're saying.
the logo would look like a COVID mask.
Yeah. And we don't want that, do we?
I mean, for the videos, you could just pull up a fake beard. You know, that would suit it. It's fine. I kind of get it, that because the idea is that you can't trim it, cut it off. You just want it a little bit. You know, you just want to. You know, is this bush of hair defining me? Will I be a prisoner of it? Maybe, maybe. But
Yeah, I don't know. See, I don't want to have to deal with putting on a fake one every time I do a video. I spend enough time in the makeup chair. I don't need to adding a beard to that. So
mm, yeah,
I
it's
was
fine. It's fine. A little
I
bit
was
makeup did not hurt anybody.
I was kidding, by the way. Hopefully you guys understood that. I
Nah,
don't wear
nah,
makeup.
it's not a joke. It's not.
Yes, it
There is no
is.
shame, Koi. There is no shame, Koi. Just, just a little bit of lipstick did not hurt anybody.
What can I say? I have lumptuous lips. So.
Luscious lips. And on this bombshell, kills. This show is sponsored by lumptiousminihealth.eu kilns, because they got the next kiln for you. They got really good kilns at very affordable pricing. Go to minihealth.eu. You can choose any size you like, and if you don't find the size that suits your needs, maybe you want something really big or maybe something really itsy bitsy tiny, you can write them an email, shoot them a DM on Instagram, and Baltazar can build you something custom. And while you are at the checkout, please do remember, use Carbon 5 at checkout to save 5%. You will be supporting the show, and you will be supporting Baltazar, and you will be saving a little bit that you can reinvest in maybe some quality steel that you can heat treat in that minihealth.eu kiln. And while you are there, you can also shop for heat treatment racks for batch hardening and heat treatment foil, so you can heat treat stainless steel in your brand new, beautiful kiln. So remember, minihealth.eu. They got the next kiln for you. And now, back to the show. By the way, because all of the guys were speaking about power hammers, forging, yada yada, I just wanted to interrogate you a little bit. I had this topic. Yeah. Whenever I come onto Hustle and Grind, I always talk about it when we are talking about you. I'm really interested in the production side of your business. And maybe you could unveil a little bit of that, be a little bit, intimate and with your makeup in that kind of sense. I'm really interested on how you are organizing the work, because it seems like there are a lot of moving pieces, and I'm more interested in the systems that you are using or applying for inventory management. And I am not talking about just the finished inventory, but also the supply of steel, and just how much you are having, how you are handling, how do you order when it's finished. And I guess different patterns require different amounts of different steels, so there is kind of big complexity in that, I guess.
Yep, great question, and a great topic to actually jump onto, because we just are on the verge of moving across into a completely new system that I built from scratch. let me start with where we were, and then I can move into the change we're getting ready to make right now. Like literally at the end of this week, early next week is the big change. So, um, where we were was mostly just a lot of spreadsheets, um, work order file system on computers that we also printed out that then went into slips that are posted at the workstations in the shop. And Jay would build sub work orders for making the sub assembly components to make that final product. So let's just say it was for simplicity's sake, a wrought iron sand mine. So you have a core material and you have a cladding material, and a work order needs to be made to tell the forging crew, hey, you need to forge a bunch of the wrought iron chain link down into bar stock at these certain sizes. And then you have another work order, which would be the main work order, which tells the team, hey, once that wrought iron runs through the processes of forging, grinding, trimming, and then it's ready for layup again, it tells them how much material they need to get the yield they want out of the order, for whatever the order is, X many bars, whatever thickness. The work order would tell them you need this much material, starting size of the material needs to be X, yada, yada, yada. So that was the old system, and it worked. I mean, it worked fine. It was a lot to keep track of, a lot of work on my part and Jay's part, who's the shop manager, at keeping track of all that and making sure the crew was updated with their correct sheets and that the sheets were traveling with the material properly throughout the processes. And it worked fine, but it was complicated. There was a lot to it, a lot of moving parts. In the last couple of months, we decided that we were going to let's see, what is it called? Oh, ISO 9000. So we were going to get certified in ISO 9000. So are you guys familiar with what that is?
A little bit. That basically it means that you need to have documentation about your processes, I think.
Correct. Yep.
Yep.
It's all about documenting your process very meticulously in permanent record that you have to keep for 10 years. Most records have to be kept for 10 years. And the reasoning is when you have the certification of processes, you can start working with companies who require it, like government agencies or oil and gas industries and stuff like that. And if you did a batch of steel for them or forged a part for them, a whole batch of parts, they could, through you, trace back that part. If it failed in the field in 4 years, they could trace it back through us to the material lot, back to the material supplier, yada, yada, yada. So that's why the iOS 9000 it exists. And there's a bunch of different variations of it. But we've decided that we're going to get our rating for iOS 9000. And that included getting a better system in place. And it's going to overhaul what we're doing now. And so I built a system. I'm not a programmer, but I teamed up with a couple of buddies of mine who have some dabbled in this field and then also utilized AI, Claude code specifically, and built a quite complex system that is completely iOS 9000 capable and approved for Baker Forge. So the system's going to work like this. Each station in the shop, assembly, prep, assembly, forging, grinding, finishing and quality control, and then packaging and shipping. There's 6 stations. Each station is going to have either an iPad or a actual desktop display. Some stations will get one, some stations will get the other. And this manufacturing execution software that we built is going to run on all of them, and it's all hosted on our local server. So the crew can walk up to their station, they can click their workstation inside the system, and on it will be populated what their tasks and projects are for the day. And this will all be controlled by Jay and I, but we could even control it remotely through the internet. We can put which work orders are priority. We can, add whatever we want to a process, to a system, add notes, orient which order we want the crew to work them in. all that sort of stuff. And once, like for example, an assembly assembles a set of billets, they then just click done in their system, and it auto populates over to the next bay, which is forging. And he pops up on his screen. He knows what's coming next out of welding, so that he can get the furnaces ready. He can get the get the steel in the fire, and then he knows based on what he's seen on his display what dimensions they need to be forged to, what thickness it needs to be at, and which program to use in the press to press the pattern in. Every single step you can think of, and all the information each person needs is stored right there on that particular work order on their station. And so it's going to massively increase productivity on my part and Jay's part, because it's automating a lot of this whole manual paper system that we used to have, where stuff traveled with billets, and you had to hand the guy a whole stack of stuff, and then realize you need to make an adjustment. You got to take paper out of the slip and write on it, scratch something out. All that's going to be gone. In this system, because iOS 9000 capable, it has a series of inspections and checks on literally every single step, and sign off on manager parts for these inspections, so that we know stuff is going through every step correctly, and that there is not going to be anything missed. There's not errors happening. Any error is a nonconformance report that gets reported in the system with just a couple of clicks, and that goes on file. And so we'll have records of any type of loss we have, all data that we can come back to and utilize for any reason. I mean, analytics on everything is tracked, and so all the way down to the exact materials being used, how much material loss there is per cubic inch of material starting versus final, so we can use it for helping to price steels. We run a batch for the website, and it's something new, and we get to the end of the process and we go, all right, well, we got to price this. With the old system, Jay and the guys were just kind of track as best they could how long certain things took, but it's mixed into a day. It's mixed into a whole day of doing all different other types of work orders and other projects. And so it's a little hard to distinguish the exact amount of time spent on a certain batch. And so they'll be able to look back and go, okay, so we had a cumulative man-hour rate in forging of this, Blanchard grinding was that, QC was this, and it used exactly this much material, and we had this much loss. And so the pricing becomes much easier to do. It has a full customer relations management system in it as well, for managing incoming and outgoing customer relations, like emails, problem reports, exchanges, returns, everything. I mean, it's all encompassing. And so a system like this is incredibly expensive to just go buy or like subscribe, because you can subscribe to versions of this. Companies sell you this service. And I looked at a whole bunch of them a few months ago and had meetings with a couple of these companies to have them walk me through it. And one of them in particular was very well done. They did a great job. But at the end of it, he told me it was going to be $10,000 a year to use it. And I was like, $10,000 a year? I'm just going to freaking build this then, because I don't want to spend $10,000 on software. I'm sorry. I can't do it. So, and none of those systems were tailored to what we were doing. We needed something very specifically to our process. And this is just very different than everything else out there. Nothing fit us perfectly. And so we decided it's time to build it. And so it took quite some time to put together. And it's been a lot of late nights coding at the computer and figuring stuff out, because it's kind of all new for me. But we're in the final stages of getting ready to roll this out, and I am extremely proud of it. And we're going to do a whole video on it too, to show how it works, because I'm beyond ecstatic about how it's going. So
I have quite a few points here. I
Yes,
just did not want to stop you. First of all, I think you really hit the nail on the head by saying that the systems that you could buy, they are not tailored for your needs. And I think this is a trade-off this is a game of trade-offs. If you buy something that was built by another company, it will never you will have to fit into its constraints and not the other way around. And you are buying a product, a service. But when you are building it yourself, you can tailor it really, really specifically to your needs and to your workflow. But sadly, the the trade-off here is that when you make it, you have to maintain it. So you have to you have to alter it, you have to change things. Sometimes problems arise, and I'm really excited to see how this will go into the future, because now it sounds really, really good. But it's interesting when the tires hit the road, and how the production. I can't wait to have you again after a little bit of time, and to hear the feedback on the system and the things that you maybe changed, that you did not change, and that worked. Also, uh, you said that, if I understood correctly, you said that you started implementing more like in-process QA processes, like
Yes.
basically quality checks, right? So I guess there was a lot of process creation and things that you have to take into account. And I'm also interested how the system, or let's say your process, the full process, not just the system, how you are handling mistakes, something when you ruin the material, and sometimes when the material is not beyond fixing, but it needs rework. So does it go into a different queue? Does it go, whatever, into the scrap bin because it's not worth your time? Or how does this process look?
So specifically for if we're on a work order and something goes sideways and a bunch of the steel maybe came up too short, or uh, the ends all split and we had to trim them back and now they don't meet length, or whatever, it is still a nonconformance report, meaning the material didn't make it doesn't pass as to what it needs to be for this particular order. And so it would get a report on, hey, this many items were um, disqualified, basically. And you can either opt to, yeah, it's scrapped, or the other option is it can be reworked. And I'm off the top of my head forgetting the terminology that I put in there for that. It's repurposing, basically. So it does not become unusable material. So for something that just came up too short, it's still a perfectly good piece of steel. It's just not to the right length anymore. That can then just get reworked back into our inventory system. And so that would get approved after inspection again. It would get approved as a scrap item for that work order, but get approved to go into retail inventory, where it would just get posted back up onto our website to be sold at its current size, because there's nothing wrong with it. It's just too short for the order that it was for originally. And then that work order gets a flag in the system because it had billets that didn't make size, and now maybe it was a large order, and now we've got to go back through because deadline's coming up, and it's now going to get a priority marker, or we could apply a priority marker and go, hey, this, we need to expedite X amount, 5 more billets of this because deadline's coming up. This has to go out by the end of next week. And so they would create a sub work order off of that one. And this would be a priority express, run this many of these in order to get this to a fulfillment state. And then those two work orders merge at the end in final inspection and final approval.
I would like to dwell a little bit here. I'm kind of interested in, and you touched a little bit now on that, how you are estimating how much of materials, or let's say if you have, let's play hypothetically, you have an order for 10 billets of some pattern, and do you push an order into the system estimating that you need to make 11? Or you are just shooting straight for 10, and if you end up with 8, you are again ordering 2?
Great question.
So you can account. Yeah.
Great question. We always, as of now, always make more than is required. If it's an order for like 5, then we may do 6 or 7. If it's an order for 50, we'll probably do more like 60 or 65. So like 10 to 15 units over, because most of what we make is also something we sell on the website. There's only a handful of patterns with a handful of companies that are proprietary, meaning we couldn't sell this extra steel. And in those cases, the extra steel is then offered to the company at a reduced rate. It's just, hey, we had X amount extra from your batch run. We can't sell this. So if you would like to buy it on top of what you already ordered, you're welcome to, or we'll hold on to it until your next PO comes through. So that's generally how we
Mm,
handle that.
that's smart. And also, just backtracking a little bit about the process itself, you mentioned that people are working at different stations, let's say welding, forge welding, and then grinding. I would be interested in hearing how, if a welder finished welding a billet, right? Is there specific stations where they bring the finished inventory because they check off it on their iPad, or do the forging guys come and pick up the boxes because they got a notification because it was finished in welding? How does the flow of the materials through your shop look like?
Yeah, so it depends a little bit on what the materials are. If it's carbon steel or our copper, so if it's carbon steel, nothing else in it, no stainless, no copper, then welding is once they're done with that, they go into the kerosene tanks. So we've got a couple of really big kerosene tanks, and they have kind of dividers in them. They have areas in them that they can mark and designate for, hey, here's a bunch of 100 layer Damascus, or here's a bunch of crushed W Damascus, or whatever the pattern may be. They will load those straight into that because they can sit in there for, a couple of hours a day or so. And that the kerosene's protecting the steel, and it just acts as a hydrocarbon basically once it goes in the forge. And so for that, they just load those tanks, and those tanks sit near the forging area. And so the blacksmith or the guy who's doing the forging, when it pops up, it will tell him, hey, here you need to forge 20 bars of this 100 layer Damascus, and it's on there. It says which tank it's in and which sector of which tank it's sitting in. So he knows exactly which stack of steel is paired up with that job. Something else I didn't mention earlier, as far as tracking in between stations, is that we've moved to a QR code system. And so there's a QR code tag that follows the batch wherever it goes. And so whether it's sitting on a rack, the tag is with it. If it's sitting on a cart in between stations, the code is with it. And the guys can just pick up that QR code and scan it with the iPad, and it will pull up the work order immediately, so they know exactly what they're looking at. But backpedaling a little bit towards material handling and stations, the copper stuff, it doesn't go into those liquid tanks or the kerosene tanks. It has a specific table where those are loaded up, and there's a space for them to designate, here's the code tag that goes with it. So that's this is what this is basically. And the forger can walk over there, and it may be a lineup of a bunch of different stacks and may not be readily apparent what's what, but he can just grab the tag, scan it real quick, go, oh, that's not the one I'm looking for. Grab a different one, scan that one. Aha, perfect. That's what I'm looking for. And work from there. So.
Makes sense. I'm thinking about managing deadlines. That is also an interesting topic, because if I don't know how your shop is running, but if I try to imagine, I think if you are running different products, as you said, stainless steel, copper Damascus, regular carbon steel Damascus, there are places and processes where they converge and they diverge, right? Maybe one material needs to be done here. Maybe two materials can be forged on that power hammer by that blacksmith, but this material can only be forged on the big hammer, but all of them need to be ground at the end. And the balancing of the load. And I guess the question is it hard to estimate when you will be done with certain projects, because you have to know what is directly in front in the pipeline, and maybe some things, even though they are started later, they can be finished earlier. So it's, in my mind, kind of hard to estimate. Or maybe estimation is not a problem at all.
No, so it's not really a problem now because we've really worked on that, and Jay, the shop manager, is very good at that part of the job, and so I'm really thankful and blessed that he's doing that because he's very good at it. Um, it's always a work in progress though, because you're right. Certain steels take different steps and it takes longer, and then you've got other steels that are a lot quicker, and you have orders that are of a lot of steel, and you have orders that are small amount of steel, and so the scheduling is always in flux. And so what we do is when we're working on to give a deadline, so we give a deadline with our quotes every time. So here's your quote, and here's your estimated production time from the time you start the order. This is how long it will take, and here's an estimated delivery date. And we always give ourselves plenty of buffer room because stuff comes up, and you have to deal with that on the fly. And we don't want to give us, if we think it's going to take 4 weeks, we don't say 4 weeks. We say 6 or 7 weeks. We give ourselves that room to wiggle because there's a lot to juggle. Not only is it making a bunch of different orders, it's making sub parts for all those different orders and final parts for all those sub orders. So yeah, and different stations can process material differently at different rates of speed. The guys who are forging, they can forge steel a lot quicker, generally, most steels, a lot quicker than the Blanchard operator can grind that steel. And so there's certain points that bottleneck and back up a little bit. And so that's part of why we have multiple Blanchard grinders, because whenever stuff gets backed up on Blanchard, we reprioritize one of our guys over and we open up the second Blanchard grinder. So we have 2 running to help make sure any incoming backstock or backload isn't piling up there and causing a junction of problems and a slowdown. So it's all a huge juggling act. I don't have a great answer for exactly how to do it because it would look differently in every shop. It's just been a long process of learning what works, what doesn't, and giving yourself room on the deadline. That's the biggest one. Of course, we've got people who, hey, I need a batch of steel, but I need it by X date. I've got a blade show coming up. We deal with that a lot this time of the year. And we have to either make a commitment to go, hey, yes, we can do it in that time frame, or no, we can't do it in that time frame. We either accept the job on the terms of it might miss it, or hey, if you're willing to let it go, but you still want the material, we'll process it for you. But there is a certain point in the year, and we just passed it. It was in early April, where we have basically the cutoff of, hey, if you want something for a blade show, the order has to be in now, or there's no guarantee it'll be done before the show. So.
And the last question on this topic, and I have another topic that I want to a little bit go into, but just going back to the stock management and exactly the raw materials that you are having and housing, with the current times and economy going to shit, let's say, maybe it is harder to get steel. How do you approach, what is your approach with raw materials, inventory management? I guess it really, it really depletes at different rates depending on how many B2B customers you have and huge orders. And do you have a system for tracking? Do you have like minimal quantities that after that you are ordering specific amounts of steel, or is it always you are catching your tail, or how does it work? How do you manage it?
Yeah, so that's a great question too. We have certain minimum thresholds on pretty much every consumable and raw material in the shop, all the way from drill bits and grinding stones and belts up to steel, which is of course our biggest consumable. For bulk orders versus our stock we use for making like drops or retail orders, they are separate. So we'll maintain a certain amount of, let's say 1084 and 15 and 20 steel on hand for us to use for prototyping or making drops for the website or making small custom orders that come through. If for our bigger commercial clients, when they put in an order, we order materials to make that order separate. So that lot, when that material comes in, it's under a separate lot number specifically for that job. And it's tracked through the whole process as, hey, that material is used for that client. That way, if we get way down the road and Buck Knives calls us and says, hey, we can't get any of this steel to hold an edge. We're Rockwell testing it, something's off. We can go back and look and say, hey, that was lot number 1408. And we know exactly where that came from and which foundry it came from. Like we can trace it all the way back to where there was a potential issue. Which that's never happened. All the steels have always been able to be heat treated. But that's an example of why we do specific lots for the big orders. That way we know all the steel that was in it was from the same lot. There's nothing separate.
And you are kind of getting insured by having this process and documentation that you can just backtrack it. It's not like, I don't know, I just use some steel. I don't know from where I get it.
Right.
It's not like that. It's you are very specific in this case, and this is actually helping and protecting the company and just
Correct.
helping the end customer solve their problem and get to the bottom of that, which is really important, I think.
And we're going to try to move towards all ISO rated vendors, which is going to be hard to do, particularly for the knife steels. But ideally, an ISO rated company or certificate holding company is working with suppliers and vendors who are supplying them from systems that are also ISO rated. So because we hold those certificates on file, and whatever they're sending us come with material tracing records. If I don't know how it is over there across the pond, but from here in the U.S., if you order something from McMaster-Carr, like a piece of copper or a piece of steel, they automatically either email or it comes in the shipment with it. It has an MTR, a material trace record, with it, and that is for people who are ISO rated for companies and systems, because that piece of documentation goes on record as with your lot, basically, as this material is assigned to this lot with this trace record attached to it. And so it'll be a lot easier for us to work with companies who have an ISO rating, because they already have these processes. They automatically ship with this documentation. There are some we'll have to, it's not a requisite that we have to use a company like that, obviously, but it's a lot easier on our part if they are. And so we'll be looking to move more that direction.
But how it would look like if you have a supplier that is not ISO 9000 compliant? How would the backtracking, or do you view it as it's not my problem? I know that it came from them. We have it documented and it's now their problem.
It depends on what it is. If it's, and it depends on our customer. So in the knife world, I've never had any company require material tracing records from us for steel that they're going to turn into knives. It's not really a big thing in the knife world. It is in like the oil and gas industry and the mining industries, where we're looking to start bidding on some contracts for actually open die forging raw parts for these companies. We have all the tooling set up, so we're kind of moving into that sector as well, just to bring on some additional business. That's a whole different tangent we can talk about later. But those companies require, if they placed an order, we would have to utilize a company that is ISO rated and get our materials from someone specifically who has that rating, because they need the full trace all the way through the process. Whereas a knife company doesn't need the trace. It's not required by the company to do that. We just add as much information on our end. In the case of needing to trace something back, we go as far as we can with it. So it isn't a requirement unless the buyer makes it a requirement, which is rare.
So you are, so if you are getting ISO 9000 certified, it kind of means you are getting it because there is the benefit of just having the full documentation, but also the benefit of dealing with specific buyers. But if you are dealing with those specific buyers, you better than have suppliers that are also ISO 9000 compliant.
Correct. So we're trying to just get a little bit ahead on that front and on board with suppliers that are rated or
Mm,
ISO compliant. A lot of them are not really in the steel side. The knife steels, we can get a material record from the foundry who made them, um, but then it goes through some other channels before it ever reaches us. And there's options out there in the world for who you select to go through for that process of importing or rolling the ingots down, that sort of thing. And some of them are ISO compliant, some of them are not. So
mm.
it's just a matter of,
Oh,
of
okay.
figuring out who to use. Yeah.
Maybe because of Bark River debacle, ISO 9000 will become a little bit more popular.
That is a great point. Yes. And, we
Mhm.
went down this route before the whole stuff with Bark River ever even happened. The reason we went down this road was not for the knife industry. It was going to be a great benefit, but it's more for, the other side of things that we're looking to get into
Mhm.
with the industrial open die forging. But yeah, that wouldn't happen if Bark River Knives was ISO compliant. They wouldn't be able to
Mhm.
make that happen. They wouldn't be able to pull that off.
Now, to shift a little bit the gears, I have a question. I haven't heard you talk about that for some time on any other podcast. How is your app doing? Do you have any updates? Is
I
it still moving?
I do have updates. Yeah, I haven't talked about the app in a while. So the app is still live and running. I wouldn't say no issues. We just recently had a bug we had to fix due to an update, but we're getting ready to change the app a bunch because we're going to actually take it off where it's currently hosted and we're going to host it ourselves. So, background, the app was developed on our website platform, which is Wix. Wix,
Mm,
you can build an app in their system and publish it through them into your Apple ID or your Apple developer accounts or Google developer accounts, and then publish it to the app stores. But it's all hosted through Wix, which means we're limited to accessing the hard code of that app. So we can control the user interface and what it sees and pulls from our website, but we don't have access to the hard code, which is necessary for making more baseline critical changes to the app. And so I've been talking to a couple of the guys I mentioned earlier when building the MES system. This app has been on that docket as well. We haven't started doing anything to it just yet, but it is scheduled to get an overhaul because we're going to produce it all on our own and redirect the. There's some terminology here that I don't fully know off the top of my head, but basically redirect the download to our own system. And the end user it'll just seem like an update. They won't even notice. It'll just be an update, and then the app may look a little different. But it will be now hosted by us and not on our website platform where we don't have as much control. So it is going to go through that change. But the app's been doing great. About 50% of our entire retail customer base buys exclusively on the app. So it was a
oh,
great
wow.
move for us on that regard. And people love buying steel on it. So it was
Mm.
a great move. We love it. But it is going to get an overhaul here shortly.
Do you have any retrospective about what would you do different, or what would you focus more while doing the app? Because looking from the outside, it looks like it's just another app, but you have a really, really strong call to action. You have your exclusive steals, the drops going on there. You can get there first, and people are joining. As you said, 50% are
Mm-hmm.
getting sold there. But I guess to festering a community, that's an insanely difficult job.
Mm-hmm.
At least sounds from the outside. Do you have
Yes.
any, maybe thoughts, retrospective on that?
Oh, most definitely. So, yes, the app has the social media aspect to it. Where you got the groups and You can post in it, kind of like a social media platform. And originally, the concept, when we came out with the app, it was during a time when Instagram was being real shitty to knife makers and blocking and, shadow
Mm-hmm.
banning and all that random crap. But, and with this, we were hoping to push as a, hey, here's an alternative. Let's gather the knife industry behind it. And this comes back to the limitations. We were a little limited on how much we could actually do with the social media aspect of the app due to the fact that all we can really control is the UI, the user interface. We don't have access to the hard code. And we found that those limitations fairly quickly after doing the launch and realizing the social media side of it is as good as it's going to get because we can't physically change it any further. We're
Mm-hmm.
hit our limits. And that was a bummer because I was like, that's not really the direction I wanted to go with it. Obviously, it works great for buying steel. It's addictive to buy steel on there. I've been told that by multiple people because it's so easy to just boom, boom, boom. Oh, shoot, I just bought $1,000 worth of steel. So I love that. But the social media stuff never took off. That pretty much died within a couple of months because it's limited. We weren't able to we weren't able to facilitate the growth there that we needed because we couldn't access the back end hard code. And that's just kind of the raw basic truth of what went down with the social side of that app. But once we have access to the entire back end again, we can make it whatever we want. And so the plan is to lean heavy into that again and work on really building that knife maker community side and making that app the place to go for collectors, specifically for collectors, because we obviously knife makers would be on there, but the draw is, hey, well, if we don't have buyers here, then why knife makers bother with another social media platform? That's just kind of bleh. So if we
Yeah.
can attract a market of known buyers who are used to spending good money on good knives, and if that's who's spending a lot of time on the app, then knife makers are going to be able to sell their products. And that's the point of the whole thing at the end of the day, right? So that's the vision for where the app 2.0 will get to. But we're just not quite there yet.
It sounds like a difficult chicken or the egg question because you need to have the knife makers there for the collectors to come, but you also need the collectors for the knife makers to come. And, I mean, there are multiple ways to skin a cat. Maybe you can, nobody tried selling steel to collectors. Maybe, hey, you have a favorite knife maker? Here is a beautiful steel. Maybe he can make you something from that.
Yeah. Well, step one really is to just create. I'm kind of showing my hand here a little bit. The step one is to just create a full-in database of custom knife makers that a prospective buyer can shop in a very easy, concentrated way. That's base level one is finding people because we get messages and emails all the time of people going, "Hey, I need to get a knife for my husband for his birthday. I want it in your steel, but I don't know any knife makers. Who do I use?" And so right now it's just we're pointing people to, hey, well, if you're looking for a chef, try out these guys. If you're looking for a folder, try these guys. That system works fine for now, I guess. But if we had a database, full encompassing database that makers can sign themselves onto, and then we market that database specifically to just the market of buyers as a place for them to reference, then we start drawing in buyers that way. And that's just phase one. That's one step of many plans that would need to be put in place in order to do that. There's programs, and a lot of this is sketched out and drafted, here already for what that plan would look like to onboard makers or buyers specifically. But you're right. There's a chicken and the egg because you got to have the makers on the platform. But I don't think it would be hard for us to get the makers on. We could get a decent base off the get-go as we build and just, try to keep the ball rolling with them.
It will be such a big asset when you have the database because then you can play with it, maybe create curated lists, with some specific categories, with some specializations where people are the high-end collectors maybe are looking for some specific properties, in look, in materials that they are using, the fit up they are doing. And I think you can really, really then start playing with the database and creating something more interesting and more appealing for the general collector and buyer, even if they know at least one maker and they find them really, really great. And you can say, look at these next 5 makers, they are in similar style, but with a little bit more pizzazz in some different places. That would be really appealing to a person who's already invested in the custom knife maker market, kind of,
Sure,
and is looking
absolutely.
maybe for something. Yeah,
Mhm.
that is really cool. That I approve 100%.
Awesome. Yeah. The database will really need to be the big hinge point is sorting and uh, assigning categories to the makers, because a buyer is going to have a bunch of questions. They're going to want to know, hey, I want this type of knife, someone experienced in this area. Um, because of these collectors know knives. Now, sure, you're going to get people on there who don't know anything, and then there'll be routes for them to go through to find makers to match them up with what they want. But a lot of serious collectors know a lot about knives, and a lot of them know how knives are made. And so the database needs to be accurate and complex enough in the back end to link them to specifically what they want, all the way down to, if they want, a knife maker who lives in the same city they do, so that they can go drive their fancy hand material over to them to tell them, I want to use this, you know? So that's just one example, but it needs to be, the sorting aspect of it is very important,
Hmm.
so that they can get exactly what they want very quickly.
It's almost like you need a separate person who will be creating those lists, or maybe create, it needs to be accessible, it needs to be, you, there is so much stuff in there that to make it easy and simple for the collectors to just, you also have to present the makers in a way that they would be easy to understand for the collectors, be easy to gauge what kind of style they are making. Is it the price range I am looking? Are these the properties that I am looking? Why this one is making a switched blade? I am not looking something with a switch, and but yeah, you totally sold me the vision. I can't wait to see in the future what you will do with this info. So
Awesome.
my interrogation is over. Currently, at least.
Awesome. Those are all great questions, and I wanted to dive into a bunch of this already. So I'm glad you asked those questions, because I wanted to talk about that, the MES system, the iOS ratings, and what the changes we're going through to make all that work and happen. So thank you for all those questions, because you hit everything I wanted to jump into. So
Oh, everything. I just wanted to ask, maybe there was something that you wanted to talk about. Maybe you have,
I
but
mean, you hit a lot of it right there. Let me think. Anything we're missing? Keith, we missing anything? Keith's asleep. I know it.
No, I'm awake.
yeah,
But I think for the app and for the new system that you're putting into the shop, like the ability to use AI in this day and age is gonna be like a huge plus for you. You'll be able to pull up all this information immediately instead of having like a team of people going through documents and paperwork over weeks at a time.
Oh yeah.
You just get it
Yes, for sure.
instantly. Yeah.
I mean, Koi was so excited about Claude when he was on Hustle and Grind.
Yeah.
And when I was now the last week, I was on Hustle and Grind. They were both yapping about, oh, I just Claude this, I Claude that. You
Yep.
got them hooked.
I
I have
know.
to
I
admit,
know.
I downloaded it after I listened to the episode and I haven't used it once.
Oh wow. Well, that's your problem.
Yeah.
Age problem.
That's
Age
right.
problem.
Yeah.
It's incredibly handy, and I mean, I harped on this on that Hustle and Grind podcast a couple of weeks ago. But people out there running a business, it's gotten so much easier.
Yeah,
AI
definitely.
is not
Especially
just
for like coding.
for. Oh man, yes, because I don't know how to code nothing,
Yeah.
but I know how to prompt AI, and that's one thing that takes some training and learning to do, is learning how to prompt correctly and accurately to get the results you want. Because you can phrase something incorrectly and get a completely different,
Yeah, exactly.
result.
It's a great
So
way to get started and learn some coding, and then once you do a bunch of it through AI, you start to like understand how it works a little bit, and then you pick up the stupid mistakes that AI makes, like you said, because you worded it differently or incorrectly or something. Then you catch those and
right,
save yourself a bunch of time.
Mm,
exactly,
mm.
exactly.
I mean, I just compared for this tax season. I compared ChatGPT with Claude, and Claude is, first of all, disclaimer: I don't use AI to make my taxes. That would be crazy and stupid, reckless. But I use AI to generate a Python script that will kind of mangle the SVG export that I get from my eShop to make it way more clear, grouped together, and easy to copy and paste into the system that I'm using for my taxes. So it's basically just rearranging the data. And I must say that Claude did it from the very first shot. I did some testing, some edge cases, because I have a programmer's background, 12 years in the business, and it was flawless. It was so good, and he even wrote me instructions how to launch it, and it was all was on par. Everything was easy peasy. Just follow the
Mhm.
instructions, and you have a perfect document that you can just copy and paste it, and it saved me like 2 days of work.
Yeah.
And it's a chat just that good. And ChatGPT, nah, nah.
Nah, ChatGPT's out. It can't do what Claude can do for sure. For
Mm.
sure. Well, and it helps that Claude is actually pulling from multiple AI engines. You can pull from different engines other than, see, ChatGPT is just ChatGPT. Claude
Mm-mm.
does
No,
Opus
no.
and what?
ChatGPT they have also multiple different models, and I know that Claude has also. It's like basically specialized models. That one is for deep thinking and analysis, another is for quick answers, another one could be for programming, and the next one could be for math, and they are all kind of contained and specialized. And they, when you are writing something, you just basically writing a prompt. The ChatGPT or Claude, they are picking the best model for the answer for that question. So they both are doing the same, but I think the real power comes in from Claude in the different skills, and then that you can download it and have different directories for uh, learning to teach it how to phrase something, some learning data, maybe a sheet of technical data of, let's say, the knives that I am making. So he has that information. And ChatGPT currently, at least, as far as I understand, they have only a text window where I can feed it some text about myself and some prompts how I would like it to communicate with me. So
Mhm.
I think Claude
Right.
is way better.
Oh yeah, for sure. For the listeners, if you go onto Baker Forge website, the shop page, I built in one day last week. I built the shop or the steel finder. It's called the steel finder. It lives at the top of the shop page, and this is just for people because I get questions about it all the time. People looking for a specific billet size, but they're tired of going through all the product variants and looking at what's available. The Steel Finder is a simple Claude code program that I wrote in one day to you put in your blade length, you put in your blade width, your blade thickness, what size of your handle, do you want an overage estimate accounted for, and it calculates exactly what billet size you need to make that knife. It then scans all the products on our website and pulls all the steels that would fit perfectly or close as that can to perfect, and then ranks them in a list for you to shop through. And you can add stuff right to your cart from there. So it's very, very handy and easy to shop steel now in Baker Forge. And I built it all in Claude in one day.
It's the magnifying glass on your website, right? Or no?
No, go to the shop page. So in the menu bar, click shop. Just click on that,
Shop.
and it'll open the main shop
Ah,
page. And
find my
it's in
steel.
orange. Yep, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm. Mm.
We just rolled that
Mm.
out like 2 days ago. So I'm waiting for somebody to message me and go, hey, this thing, one of these links is broken. I went through it as thoroughly as I could, and I couldn't find anything that was screwed up. So if you can find anything, Paulie, let me know, because it's only been up for like 2 days.
Already found. I'm sending you a screenshot.
What, you already
But it's
found
fine.
it?
Yeah. I found some issue. It's fine. It's fine.
I don't want a screenshot of your user errors now.
No? Okay. I will email it to technical support at bakerforge.com.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Let those guys handle it.
Exactly. But it's fine.
But no, do send me a screenshot, because I figured I was going to have to adjust a couple of things after implementation. So
can I send it? Can I send it to your Instagram?
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, it's fine. It's done. Okay, forget it. Let's get back to the show.
Oh, see, it was user error. I knew it.
Was it a user error? Yeah, it was. I mean,
if you find something, please do just shoot me a screenshot and be like, "Yo, dope, fix this."
Okay.
I'm gonna have to check that out, because I've been thinking about this for like the last year and a half, trying to figure out how to like organize like wood and stabilize wood. I have so much of it, like, so somebody can just come on and put in a size they're looking for, or a color or something like that. So that sounds like a great idea. Write a little search program like that.
Yep, it worked great. It took some debugging to get it to display the products properly, and had some issues with that. But yeah, it all worked out. Claude prompt all the way. I mean, I didn't write a single line of code, so doesn't get much better than that.
Nice. We are. This is a long show. We're hitting the 2-hour mark. It was awesome having you on. I'd ask if there was anything that we missed, but I think we talked about a lot of it already.
Yeah, but, I think we covered it.
I know Paulie wants to get you back on once you get the system up and running, so he can drill you some more questions.
Absolutely.
Some drilling, baby.
And he's already going through your website right now looking for errors, so he'll be up on that.
Or I might just have to make him a login for my MES system too, and let him dig through that as well. That's a lot more to search through, but
you will. Can I create tickets on there, and you will see why are we sending 250 kilos of steel to Lithuania?
Yeah,
free shipping.
Who's buying all this raw material at no shipping cost?
Yep. I mean, I won't take any pay for the user errors. It's fine. Don't worry. Just send me in the logins. Don't worry.
Oh boy, I'm gonna have to put you on a restricted, limited child account. 18.
I'm already. It's the same as on this podcast. I'm also restricted, so it's fine. I will survive.
Should be easy enough to get Claude to block all of Lithuania for you from your website. It'll be easy.
That's true.
Hey yo, you think I don't know about VPN?
Oh, yep. There you go.
Yeah. Here we go. It's fine. It's good. Thank you for coming on, Koi.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hopefully, I didn't completely blow the audio in the first half. I'm glad I got that sorted. But
Albert will straighten that out for us.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Albert. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Welcome. Anytime.
All right, guys. We will talk to you all next week then. Bye for now.
Yep. Bye.
Peace.
Bye. Bye. Tschüss. Wiedersehen. Free steel.